Hi class, hope everybody's doing well. Wanted to give you guys an example of how to do your metronidazole suspension. For this example, it's a little bit different. Instead of doing the 6.5%, we're only going to do a 3% prescription, but we're going to dispense the same quantity with the 45 mLs. So in order to set up how much active ingredient you need, of course, 3 grams over 100 is equal to X grams over 45 mLs from your quantity. So that means that we need 1.35 grams of active ingredient for the prescription. Well, just like this example, as in lab, you'll have 500 milligram tablets. The actual weight of one 500 milligram tablet is 646 milligrams. So we take our amount of active ingredient needed over 500 milligrams, so that comes out to 2.7 tablets. Well, since there's no way for us to actually prepare or provide 2.7 tablets, you need to round up for 3 total tablets for the prescription. Now, again, this is just for the example and not for your prescription that you'll do in lab on Thursday. Now, with the example slides for week 3 that I've provided, you've got to use your crushed tablet equation, which is also in your lab manual. So we have the actual weight of the tablet, which is 646 milligrams over 500 milligrams of active ingredient is going to equal X milligrams of crushed tablet powder over the amount of active ingredient needed, which in this case was the 1.35. Well, if we work all that out, you're going to end up needing 1.75 grams of crushed tablet powder. So in order to do that, once you find the total number of tablets that you need, in this case it would be 3, you're going to use a Wedgwood mortar and pestle. Now, to start out, I usually think it's best just to kind of stand over it, and you can kind of pound away at them a little bit while putting your hand on top of the mortar so that the tablets don't fly everywhere. Once you get them somewhat chopped up, I like to hold the pestle like an upside down ice cream cone, and you can really put some elbow grease on it, put some weight down, and start triturating your tablets. Once you work on your tablets, start turning them into a powder. You want a nice uniform look to your powder. And it's not going to take long if you use enough pressure. You also have available in your drawers, you have a latex spatula, getting excess off the pestle as much as possible. Now, your latex spatula is going to be your best friend, because if you use a metal spatula, it's going to scrape the Wedgwood mortar and pestle and leave holes, and you're not going to be able to get all your powder out. But with the latex spatula, you'll be able to get all that powder right out. Now, from this point, since we don't need 3 tablets, we need 2.7 tablets. You're not going to use all of this powder. You would have to take out the 1.75 grams of crushed tablet powder needed. That's when you can either dump, or you can use your latex spatula in order to transfer it over. So we would assume that this would be even though we're not going to use the full amount, assuming that this was the amount of powder that we needed. Once we had a clean mortar and pestle, we go back, put it in there, and we'd take a small amount of our diluent. In this case, we're just going to use water. And we're going to make what's known as a slurry. And you're going to wet it just enough. It's not a specific amount, but it's just enough to get it wet so you'll be able to transfer it to your 2-ounce amber vial. So we'll come back to this in just a moment. When you're working with amber vials of any size, whether it's 2 through a 16-ounce vial, these are mass produced, so the markings on the side, even though they're marked as 60 mLs, 30 mLs, whatever the case might be, they're not going to be accurate because they're not calibrated. So in this case, anytime you're compounding, you never want to QS up in your amber vial. You always want to calibrate it first. So for this example prescription, we were going to do 45 mLs. I've already measured 45 mLs of water out. Transfer it to the 2-ounce amber vial. Put your top on. take your China marker, which is on top of your lab station, kind of get down there and make a little mark where the water goes. Once you're done with that, you can toss this down the sink, and you have now calibrated your 2-ounce amber vial. And as you can see, there's some slight variation that's almost towards 50 as compared to where the 45 mLs that we had measured out. So once we have our slurry, we'll come back to this guy. We'll try to get as much as possible off our pestle. And just like our KMNO4 prescription, you could do a couple washes, add a little bit more water, and we'll come back because we can get more of that off. You could use your weigh boat, you could use a paper towel, however you wanted to do that. So with your pestle, you could get a friend to hold this. Now the real key for this is to try to collect as much as possible with your slurry before you transfer it over. As you start to pour it in, you can work it left to right, left to right, left to right. Get as much of that liquid as possible. You could do an extra wash, as long as you don't go over your final volume. And as you can see, we've pretty much got everything off the sides there. We can go back to our pestle, try to collect as much as possible off of our pestle. With our spatula, we can do another wash. Put this guy away. Try to get as much as you can off of your latex spatula. You can also use kind of the side of this, try to reincorporate it, put it into your amber vial, transfer your last little amount. You could wash it again if you wanted to. At this point, we're pretending that this is our triple fish flavoring. We would add in our desired amount of flavoring. In this case, we do 1 ml. You always want to add the flavoring in towards, oops, don't do that. If this happens, this is actually a great example to do this. You don't have to start from fresh. You can actually use your latex spatula and go straight off the side, assuming that you cleaned your workstation first, and there's no reason to start over. That's a great trick that pharmacists can use all the time. Reincorporate it back into your 2-ounce amber vial, and you're good to go. What I was saying with the flavoring, you want to add that about halfway. So if you were to QS at the total up to your 45 mLs, then add your flavoring, your concentration would be off. So now we've added our flavoring. We take our diluent that we're going to use, in this case again water. QS up to your final amount where your black line is. Don't worry about that, because when we shake it to reconstitute it, it will come off. Give it a good shake. Check the bottom that there's no product or powder stuck to the bottom, similar to your amoxicillin. Lay it on the ground. You've already got your pre-made label. Stick it to the front. 1, 2, 3. Add your tape, and you're good to go. So I hope that helps. It shows you that you can probably make your suspension in probably no less than about 10 minutes or so. So good luck. We'll see you Thursday.